My name is Chris. I'm a resident of San Francisco, and I have both questions and statements. Earlier, there was some information that was presented that was from the report, Police Executive Research Forum. I was just going to quote one of the statements made by a police chief at that forum last August, I believe it was. He said, we recently put out about 300 additional tasers in our department. It's voluntary, not every officer has to take one. We tightened up on our policy about when they can be used because we had a big spike in taser activations. Officers were going for the taser immediately, as opposed to trying to use verbal techniques and other methods to affect the arrest. And that highlights the importance of the CIT training and program. I know that when this commission, as I understand it, when they last invoked CIT program, they asked for some conditions or a report on that, including after a year the number and location of calls for service involving mentally ill individuals in crisis. They asked for the type of response, whether it was a CIT officer or not a CIT officer, or a CIT officer and mental health professionals. The disposition of the call, whether it was an arrest, a 5150, a detention, whether or not force was used, injuries that could have happened, officer detained or other, complaints, commendations, and legal actions, the state of law mental health crisis response training, and a number of other things. And so my question was, is that report available? Is that something that's available where we can get that kind of information on the performance of the CIT program? I would ask Commander Correa if you happen to know if that report is available.
Your question is, do you have data from the CIT working group and the CIT program? Well,
as part of Resolution 11-18, it said that this report would be given to the police commission after a year.
As I said, I took over in December. We have January stats, not as comprehensive as I'd like. However, we're working with DEM to designate calls, Department of Emergency Management, to designate calls as CIT calls, and that way be able to track them and tease from a large group of data the sort of stuff that the resolution requires. So it's a work in progress, and I think it's very doable to capture the discrete data that responds to those particular issues.
Okay, thank you. And I believe that it makes sense to me that this information will be very, very useful to the commission and to the department. And it would make sense to me that this program be in place with that information available before the police commission actually made a decision on adding tasers to the use of force continuum. I'm opposed to tasers, but the concern I have is that this proposal is not one that's made, are we going to use tasers or not? It's also one that also specifies conditions as well. And so I'm very concerned. I have a family member who has a mental health diagnosis, and I'm very concerned, in the wrong state of mind, given a tasering, someone in a right state of mind would know that compliance is the answer. That's the thing to do. But someone who's not in a state of mind can react totally harmful to themselves and to others. And so I'm very concerned that this program, when it is ever implemented, that it have a lot of good safeguards and it has that useful data from the study. And also, other departments, for example, this same one, said that every time an officer unholsters the taser, the use of force form should be filled out. And so that would make sense, that would be a condition of this, if this is ever adopted. Also, the latest rendition of this document says that there'll be a random audit of ECW data, downloads and reconcile. And it would make sense to me that there'd be a download at every use, and also at every unholstering, because I believe sometimes those can be part of it. And also, other police departments buy the taser model that includes the camera. And like there's an expression, everyone is on their best behavior when they're on camera. And so it would make sense to me that whatever number of units this department does get, when it ever does get them, and I said I'm opposed because I'm concerned for my family member, but if the department ever does get these, it would make sense that they get the model that includes the camera as a way of having accountability, and that all these data be downloaded, and that all downloads be recorded and be reviewed. And I had the handout from the mental health board. I don't know if you've seen the resolution, but I just wanted to pass that along just in case anyone has it. I mean, enough copies for everyone.